Hello, my darling kumquats. I am so excited to finally release this episode with, can you believe Wendi McLendon-Covey? I mean, how did I? Very, very jazzed, very, very grateful. And the whole thing with this happened so weirdly because I had just moved into my house and this new place, and it was literally like the moment that I unpacked. Everything was in boxes. I didn't have any clothes out. I had no lighting. I looked like an orange Oompa Loompa. I had like a piece of fabric hung up behind me, taped with like chip clips. It was a hot mess, truly. And Wendi was deeply gracious. And oh, and then my internet went out because it wasn't hooked up properly, apparently. I mean, really, things went wrong, Murphy's Law style, and Wendi rolled with it. I even had to book like an extra 15 minutes on an early Monday morning the next week to finish up the interview. And she was just a doll. So she was everything that I could have hoped for in my life. As the aunt that I always wanted, and as the celebrity that I imagined, as the actress and comedian, as a person, as a celebrity, as everything, truly. And I had a blast doing this, and I hope you'll have a blast listening to me talk to her. And I also was really humbled and shocked almost by how she seemed to be genuinely unaware on a daily basis of how many people her work affects. Because as we grow with our work, it's like we're still just people, it doesn't really matter how many people we are in front of, whether that is through a television set, a movie theater, a stage, the internet, whatever it is. We're still just kind of pursuing the thing that makes us happy, hopefully. And she, I don't think, I think it's really normal to really come to not really step back and think, I'm the thing that I used to look for, or I'm the thing that I used to idolize. And that was a really great opportunity for me to do what I do and reflect back to her what she has stepped into and become. So I'm going to leave it at that for you. But if you're new to me, if you're just finding me now, what is happening on my eye? If you're just happening to me now, my name's Mary, and I also go by Uncustomary, and I am your local or international merriment maker. And I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a thought leader. I own an online educational business, and I am in the business of educating you for on how to be a creative weirdo who is a little bit less chaotic in the ways that you don't intend to be chaotic, and helping you diminish that chaos and increase your level of fun in the everyday. So I'm trying to help you build your confidence and maximize the level of fun that you can get out of the everyday, because I know that we all didn't really plan on becoming adults, and the way that it feels to be an adult is not always fun. So I'm here to help you make the everyday, the mundane, the mediocre, the monotonous feel fun. Everything from your taxes to your chores to your errands to organizing, everything fun, including your beliefs and your feelings about yourself. So if you are interested in employing or looking into a merriment maker, then that's me. And I can send texts to your phone. I can send mail to your house. I have membership groups. I have self-study courses. Quite a lot of things. So why don't you come on over if you're intrigued to uncustomary.org. And I'm also online on all the social media at Merriment Maker. And obviously, also, if you have somehow missed the boat on Wendi McLendon-Covey, please go check her out on Instagram and also in theaters and TVs near you, because what a damn babe, truly, in all the ways. We're both babes. We're both babes. Just airy, signy babes. Okay, without further ado, here she is.
Oh my
Oh God, I
God.
look so terrible, but whatever, girl. It's hair
Hello?
oiling day. What am I supposed to do?
Nothing.
How
Oh my
are
gosh.
you? You
I'm well.
tangerine fantasy?
I know I look really orange in this light. I just moved into a new house and I just put on my Instagram story like how crazy this looks. I can't figure out how to do those Zoom backgrounds on
Right,
this
right.
Riverside setup.
Uh,
So it just I had to make my own Zoom background because the I haven't I
well, it
haven't
worked.
it worked. Yeah, and the
It
way that I
worked.
have it set up, it looks insane. I have like an easel and it's anchored and it looks sociopathic, really. It just
Uh, now, where are
oh
you
my
in the
gosh.
world?
I'm in
Where are you?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been
Nice.
here?
No, I never have.
There's no reason to if you're in
Uh,
if you work and live in California. Oh my
hmm,
goodness. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
of
I'm
course.
so
Me too.
in love with you. I mean, not of course. You did not have to do this. I'm
Well, I like your vibe and I like what you're doing. So,
thank
anytime
you
we
so
can
much.
encourage other people to be merriment makers, then
Absolutely.
do it.
So, this all started because I invited you to Vortex
Right.
Fest and which ended
Yes.
up being really wonderful.
Oh.
But yeah, it was really great. So I mean, the whole structure of this is that we do embody, create, and spread joy. So
Hmm.
let's start with embody,
Okay.
embody joy. So the whole point of acting is that you're taking on a character and essentially able to like trick the audience into believing you're someone you're not. But
Yes.
I feel like there's something about essence that can't really be stripped away, no matter how convincing you are. And
Right.
I fell in love with you 20 plus years ago, and then over and over again, every
Oh,
time that I
bless
see
you.
you on screen.
Oh,
And I made a decision for myself that you were a weirdo just like me,
yes.
even though you're like on camera doing
That's
a
it.
character, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted you to be my aunt like a long time ago.
Oh my God, that
So
is that is such a compliment because that's always what I've said I am, is like the weird
not a
aunt.
mom but an aunt,
Yeah.
like give them
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't want to have kids either.
Yeah.
um do you feel like you're a weirdo?
Um, I used to feel that way, but now that I'm older, I feel like, oh no, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. More people should be weirdos if that's what we're calling them.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Weirdo
don't mean that
is,
in a bad way. Like
yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I and with being a weirdo comes that feeling of, when you're out in public or with a group of people, you feel like, oh, wow, these people are, if they could just be weirdos themselves, they'd be so much happier because right now they're just posing.
I think with weirdos,
Yeah.
there's like a version of truth that's being accepted about
Hmm.
yourself. Maybe
Hmm.
that's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of times with weirdos, maybe we reclaim that word, and usually it's something you end up being proud of as an
Yeah.
adult, or it's at a certain point, and then you go through a rough time of feeling like alone or misunderstood or as an outcast because you're
Right.
pointed out that you're different or something. And like you said, now it's like you can accept that part of yourself.
Hmm.
I just kind of got that feeling that you were that
Yeah.
on your own.
Yeah. And there's times in your life where you have to do whatever code switching you need to just to get through the day, like high school or college
Absolutely.
or whatever. And you get through it, but then you look back on it and you're like, God, I was really unhappy during that time that everyone assumed was like the best time of my life. Like everybody says,
Because you're
oh, college,
adapting.
college is so great. You're going to have the best time. I hated it. And I was not a joiner, and I looked around at everybody and I was like, ugh, sororities, fraternities, why are you doing this? Why are you masking up and hanging out with people that you are not going to want to talk to in 6 months? You're not happy doing
I
this.
felt the same way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go home, go to bed, watch the Golden Girls, like do what makes you happy. This is
Yeah.
horrible. So,
I
yeah.
think that weirdos are like people that know how the things that make them happy and they aren't conforming to things like maybe at an earlier age. Maybe that's exactly what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at an early age, I read that you experienced depression really young, like around age 5. Is that true?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something I've had a issue with my whole life. Yeah. And I finally
Did you feel like
started
that was like
getting medicated. Say that again?
was that like a biological thing for you, a predisposition, or did you feel like that was an environmental component as well? That was
No,
like
that's
a
a
stressful trigger.
predisposition. Yeah, my family.
Yeah.
It's a problem in my family. But yeah, it
Yeah.
manifested in weird ways. And like when I was in junior high, it got really bad. And I used to throw up in my sleep just from
Wow.
stress.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
This
Is there a name for that? I haven't heard of that yet.
I don't know, but they took me to therapy and that didn't do anything. And you know, there are times in my life when I've been to therapy and I feel like I got what I needed out of it probably in my 20s because I didn't know how to you can't go to therapy and get anything out of it if you can't articulate what is wrong.
Absolutely. It's completely self reported. So if you have no communication or verbiage for what's happening, or even to know that something is quote unquote wrong, then why would you even share that?
Yeah. And so, you know, I grew up in the 80s and people didn't have names. I mean, I look back on mental health practices when I was growing up and I just don't know how we got anywhere. And I don't think we did. Because
I know, right? It's crazy. Just like 30 years ago, they were still hanging people from ceilings because they were depressed. Like, does this help? Is this good?
Yeah, exactly.
You feel better? Worse?
What if I just tell you to stop it? Does that work?
Can you just stop? Can you just stop? It's affecting me. It's annoying what you're doing. It's annoying.
That's pretty much what it was. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, gosh, but I mean, hopefully this generation will grow up and feel maybe a little too empowered. But
well, I mean, at least this generation, they have the language.
The language
say,
is deeply.
I am upset because of this.
Yes.
You know, back then, you know, we were raised to not be impolite. Don't hurt
impolite
somebody.
To talk about yourself, let alone. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
I remember I have 12 different disorders, and I remember the first time I read at the back of it was a teen Vogue. My mom subscribed me to every single teenage magazine that I could get. I didn't ask for those. But I remember looking at the back, there were always like one real article, you know, at the back. And this one month, there was one about this girl with OCD. And I was reading it and I was like, this girl does exactly what I do. And then they described it as obsessive compulsive disorder. And I was like, okay, so I am crazy, but there's a word for this kind. Right. And it's bittersweet. You know, you find out that there is a word, but it's, you know, it means something, right? So it's like having language for it is important because it gets you the kind of help that you want or need. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
I read also that you stopped taking medicine like around when you turned 30 and you found another solution. Was that something that worked for you?
No, I didn't stop. Oh.
Fact check.
No, it's okay. I think around that time is when I started in earnest. Like
Okay.
I did try a couple things in my mid-20s. I didn't like what they were doing. But then around 30, it was like, okay, I need to fix myself here. So I tried another medication, which turned out to be Effexor, and it worked immediately.
That's so great. Like
Like,
when you feel like you change your
oh yeah.
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up
Sure,
needing
I
to
had dry
do,
mouth
have you
and
ever,
couldn't walk across the room for about a week because of the dizziness, but I did not feel like I wanted to kill myself. So yeah,
right?
I will be
Yeah.
on that forever. I think I'm too afraid to go off it because I mean, anyone out there, if you have ever missed a dose of your antidepressant and it feels like the worst hangover you've ever had, I don't want to
Yeah.
go through that. So.
Yeah. I've like withdrawn from my it's an not an SSRI, but it's an NSRI, and serotonin withdrawals are crazy. Like you literally have like brain zaps and stuff. It's
Right.
nuts.
Yeah.
That
I
stuff's
don't
no
wish that on
joke.
anybody. Yeah.
So, in the spirit of like embodying joy for you, I looked at, you shared it on Instagram, but it was also in the Us Weekly. They did a full day in your life of like showcasing your daily routine. I feel like it's so funny that we're all so obsessed with what people do every day.
Yeah.
It's become like a bit of a porn, I think, for women especially.
It is. Oh,
It's
has
so
become
funny.
a porn. Yes.
And I feel like it could be a complete lie. I could be like, well, every day I wake up, especially the more famous you are, it could be even more dramatic, right? Like every day I wake up and I brush my llama 46 times, and then I go out to the yard and I just like, I pray to Zeus, and then, we just like put our butts around the wind chimes and clap, and then that's how I succeed. And people would be like, okay, so where do I get the llama? Let's start. And then it's just like some sort of
Well, it's such bullshit. It's like, honey, yeah, you just really practice, gratitude.
whatever feels good.
And I'm standing, I'm just like really grounding myself and having a matcha latte. Shut up. You're doing none of that.
I mean, I'm sure that you didn't like completely make stuff up for the Us Weekly thing, but they probably also made stuff look, in their spread on a whole page, a way to fill up a whole page.
Now, what did I say I did?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So, and that's what I wanted to do. I want to be like, so it was about a year ago. So, the thing is that most daily routines, I think people need to realize, as much as, I think the reason that it's a porn is because it's a fantasy though, right? That we like to think that this is something so structured. And if we do what that person does, we are going to instantly overnight have that person's life or success or whatever it is that we want of that person. And that's what's missing in the fantasy, right? This point of view thing. But most daily routines aren't so structured. They're not so rigid. They're ebbing and flowing. And everyone, including someone that's been in a blockbuster movie, doesn't have like days that they don't miss stuff. So whatever it was, I don't want to speak for you, but whatever it was that was in that Us Weekly thing, I'm pretty sure there's been a day since November of 2022 that you have missed.
Probably.
Right?
Yes.
Probably. So I don't know. Let's just see what it said. So it says every morning you wake up, and on days that you feel groggy, your husband Greg will make you breakfast. Sometimes you'll sleep in your clothes so that you can easily walk straight to your car to get a couple more minutes sleep. Okay. You'll make the most of your commute with the gua sha. I don't know how to say that right. My person just told me to get one. Gua sha?
Gua sha?
Is that how you say it? Gua sha? You have to say it. You have to go up when you say it. Gua sha. Gua sha. Or solo wave on your face and then listen to audiobooks in the car.
Right. That's
yes,
true.
still?
That's true.
Okay. You'll have iced coffee as a pick-me-up during the day.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, you'll put your legs up on the wall using toe stretchers, snuggling with your cats.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
All of that's happening still? Okay.
The legs against the wall, I don't do as often as I should. I don't drink
I
iced
felt like a
coffee
really
anymore.
strong visual. They were doing something like very specific.
No, legs against the wall is it's very good for lymphatic drainage.
Yeah, I do that for my knee. It feels really
Yeah,
good when you do it.
yeah. I don't drink iced coffee
But what
anymore
about
because I'm not on set. And that's the only place I drink it is when someone makes it for me.
to get through the day?
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, but everything else is pretty spot on. I mean, I haven't been going to work because we've been on strike, so I haven't been gua shawing in the car. But yeah.
All right. Is there
Everything else.
anything else? I mean, the whole point of this is really like embodying joy and what that looks like for you. Is there anything that you do? It doesn't have to be every day, but like consistently or to pull yourself out, somebody that has struggled with depression and that's in you,
Mhm.
you know that there's like a spectrum and a calibration that needs to happen. So is there anything that you kind of go to purposefully intentionally make yourself feel good?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that might change seasonally, but right now, and again, I don't care what anybody thinks about this, and I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. I'm saying this is what I do. And
Yes.
maybe it's terribly disordered, but this is what I do.
Well,
I
here
have
we
to
are for
have
the
noise
weirdos.
on.
This is for
Yeah,
weirdos.
right. I have to have noise on all the time. I find it very difficult
Yes.
to be in a quiet environment, although sometimes I make myself. But I've always got to have the radio on, a TV on somewhere, a podcast. And right now I am 100% full tilt boogie into yacht rock, and I will not turn it off. Okay? Yacht rock, give me some
I
Doobie
love it.
Brothers, some Earth, Wind and Fire, some Toto. I don't care if you like it, that's what I'm listening to. I
I
have
love
to
that.
sleep with the TV on. And that's
Mhm.
something that is from years, I mean, from my childhood, and the show has to be something that I'm very familiar with. So
I
it's
did
got to
this
be a
the
show
same
that I've
way.
watched a million
What's
times.
your show that you've watched a million times?
Um, I go through 30 Rock, Cheers, Seinfeld, Mary Tyler Moore, Golden Girls.
I love it.
They're on
I
a
love it.
constant rotation.
I love that.
And I'm a big bath taker.
Ooh,
I'm a big bath taker. I spend at least an hour in the bathtub every day to chill out.
that's fantastic. Do you have
Yeah.
like cool toys and stuff? I've like get like the little floaty lights and stuff.
I don't. Just a book.
Just a book.
Just a book. Yeah.
Do you have like the salts and the um bath bombs or anything? Or are you just
I
like
do
clear?
sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. The Dead Sea salts. I'm very much into, but yeah, those are like my constants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask you, are you into astrology at all?
Somewhat. Yeah.
There was always like some stuff that I always wanted to know because there was some things on Reno that I could tell were you because you would put in like Steely Dan, and I know that's actually you,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
then I always wanted to know like some things were you making fun of or were they like, personal experience? And there would be some like kind of witchy things that would be put in
Uh-huh.
as Clemi, and I couldn't tell.
Right.
But you have so much Libra in your chart, and you have like a Libra stellium,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like I love that for you, and also everything that you seem to love really goes along with that. But your rising sign is missing. Do you know on the internet, because I don't know your birth time? So do you know your
Yeah.
rising sign?
Leo.
Your Leo rising. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. That's
Because
so
you're a
funny that you
performer.
say that. I had a evolutionary astrology reading like 8 years ago. And now it's something I do every year. Once a year, I get like
Oh,
just the
that's
lay of the
nice.
land, for the next
Hmm.
year. But when she explained myself to me, it all tracked,
Hmm.
you know. She explained my chart to me and gave me blocks of time where certain things might have happened and she was right, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very into astrology, but not enough for me to study it myself, but I will
Sure.
take the
Yeah.
advice of other people, like,
Of course.
and especially people who really have done the work and gone to school and studied this stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, not so many of the little TikTokers and whatever, you know, there's quite a
Yeah.
lot of noise out there
I can't
in
even
the
be on
astrology
TikTok. It's
space.
just, it's overstimulating to literally open the app. I'm
Yeah.
just like, nope, I'm done. I can't. I'm very busy being too old to say. I do things now that my parents used to do. Like, I remember going to the mall and my parents would be like, "Are you going to go to the Hot Topics?" And I'm like, "There's no S on it, Mom. Like, stop putting S's on stuff." And now I'm
Yeah.
like, the TikToks? Like, I do stuff like that. I park at
Yeah.
the back of parking lots. Like, I used to make fun of my dad for doing that and being like, "I'm not dealing with this shenanigan stuff." And I say things like, "This used to be a field." You know, I'm just getting older.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not mad about it though. I'm
No,
not
it's
really that
okay.
mad about it.
It's
It's fine.
okay. Embrace it. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking about a long time, you've been with Greg for you were 27 years? Is that right?
27
Was
years.
that your
Yeah.
anniversary? Yeah. It seems like this is just a wonderful relationship and he's so encouraging towards you and his it's like a celebration of a mirror of you. I think we just I don't really have a question about it. I just want to like celebrate the fact that this is such a lovely relationship and also just remind us that relationships are like creations and decisions that we make and when
Yeah.
something is going so well that it's like that's also you, not just us, but like you
Right.
did that too. You know, I love that.
Thank you for saying that. I really, really lucked out. I really lucked out with him. And I'm a pain in the ass. I'm moody, I'm flighty, um, I'm manic sometimes.
Me too.
And like, oh my God, we got to rearrange all the furniture in the house right
Hmm.
now. I know it's 11:30 at night, but if we
Yep,
just, you know, really dig in, we can do it. That's what it's like living with me. But
absolutely.
most of the time, I am also entertaining.
Yeah, but that
So, I
what I've realized though with my guy is that they get like an enjoyment out of both sides of you are entertaining in that way. They kind of
Mhm.
just are like, there she is again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh, he's never bored.
yeah, you
I
can't be.
can't tell you he's bored.
They can't be bored. They don't get to complain that they're bored at
Yeah,
all. So,
but you know, and I'm sure you've found this as well, that when you're going to be in it with a long time with
mhm.
someone, you really have to make sure that you are able to have fun during the mundane moments because most of life
Yeah,
is very mundane,
it's true.
you
And
know?
when especially I think when you're the for lack of a better term, visionary of the relationship, you know, you're that part
Mhm,
that you might be the one going out and having the ambition, right?
mhm.
Which there's nothing wrong with, um, but going out to seek the next thing. And there's going to probably be one person in the relationship that's okay with whatever this is being enough. And there's also nothing wrong with that element, right?
Yeah.
But when you go out and you're consistently looking for more, which is great,
Mhm.
that when you come home, there's like this serotonin letdown almost. And that's just
Yeah.
like a physiological thing. Like, for example, like, I mean, there's you going to like an award ceremony or, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like something really big and you
Right.
get dressed up and you hear applause or something. And then you come home and it's like, oh, I need to do like laundry. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But like
exactly.
you're saying, the mundane of being able to have every moment with that person be enjoyable because you know how to make each other laugh
Right.
there. And it's like, it doesn't matter where we are. This is fun.
Right. Exactly. And I have to say, um, Greg is the only one that encouraged me on this path. No one else in my life thought I would make it in any capacity. So, when we first got married, that's when I started pursuing this career in earnest because I finally had support.
Yeah.
And so there were times when he was working two jobs And I was taking improv classes and,
Right.
maxing out the credit card on costumes and wigs and stuff like that. And he never told me not to. He never told me to quit. He just wrote it out. And that meant everything to me. That was like the door that finally got kicked open, was the permission from someone in my life to, go after what made me happy. So back in, I want to say 2014, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Mm.
And so after that, it was like, don't worry about working. Don't worry about working. I've got it.
Yeah.
You don't need to work. Just hang out here, take care of me, and, manage our properties or whatever.
And my emotions.
Yeah. And my emotions. That's enough. That's, that's a job with no set hours, unfortunately. So that has worked for us, for him to be a house husband. And, I just don't want people to get the wrong idea about him. Like, oh, I do everything and he just lounges around. That is absolutely not the case.
Well, also, who gives a shit?
Yeah. No, it's true.
I mean, I get that. I get the feeling of like feeling like the need to explain that, but I don't know. I'm at the point where my goal is to retire Matt. Like, I want him to be a house husband. I
Mhm.
don't want him to have, like, why should we both, he doesn't have like like an urgent passion, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I used to be upset about that. I
Yeah.
used to, when I first met him, I was like, what's wrong with you? Why
Mhm.
don't you have that? And I'm realizing like, oh, I think maybe only a few percentage of us have
Yeah.
that. Maybe that's only for a few of us, and maybe I'm very lucky that I have this, and he is here, and I'm so lucky to have him support me with this.
Yeah.
And how beautiful is that? And that if I make enough money, I can have him be here full time with
Mhm.
this, and how
I don't think
wonderful
I
is
don't think
that?
people realize how comforting it is to have someone holding down the fort.
Oh my God.
They used to be called wives, you know?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. A
That's what
stable,
wives did.
patient, non-judgmental anchor.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, it is so I couldn't get anywhere
Mm-mm.
without it. I can't live in that chaos. I can't live
No,
in that chaos.
we're air babies. We're just up
Yeah.
here. These
Yeah.
and we
Yeah,
need
I'm always
something.
gonna be flighty, so I need
Yeah.
someone grounded to, like,
Mm-hmm.
balance this out. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, sending a sending a love to all of the stable, patient, non-judgmental anchors out there. Thank
Yes.
you for supporting
You
us,
you really
flighty,
have
visionary
yeah, you deserve your
crazies,
flowers.
so we can bloom.
Yeah.
Do you feel like making choices to embody joy, or at least prioritizing feeling good, has gotten easier for you as you've gotten older?
Oh, yes.
Why?
Yes. Because as you get older, you you understand that no one's thinking about you that much. So you
Mm-hmm.
can just, stop worrying about what other people think. Not that you consciously worry, but you do think about it. It does cross your mind. If you really sat and thought about what your day-to-day decisions, where those decisions come from, a lot of times it's, well, what's so and so going to think?
Right.
Well, I don't want to hear this from this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to shake that off. But
Yeah.
as you get older, you're like, well, I got to take care of me before anybody else.
Yeah.
And my comfort and my satisfaction with my own life is really all I need to be worried about. So yeah, it does, thank God, get a lot easier.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the earlier we can realize that, the better.
God, yes. Oh, please. Yeah.
Part of my theory here is that, embody, create, spread, and in that order. And also of necessity, meaning that it's not just that we embody joy, that we feel good, and that we create what we want to, that we feel passionate about, but that once we, fill our cup, so to speak, that we actually do go out and spread joy. I think that is what makes my idea a little bit different than the way other people theorize or teach self-love, because a lot of people are just like, feel good, put yourself first, like da 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 da. And I believe that. But then I make sure that if you are physically and emotionally, mentally capable, able, and your cup is available to overflow, I think that if you aren't going back out and spreading it in the lens of what you are here to do, with your talents and creations, then I think that you're like kind of wasting that. And I love that. And we're going to talk about that, but I just like, I felt like that was, it was just perfect to mention right there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And sometimes the easiest way to do that, to spread the joy, is literally just give someone a compliment. The most basic of compliments, or, just, oh God, how do I want to say this? Just putting out a nice vibe for people.
Yeah.
You don't have to get in their face and,
you don't need to
I'm sure all your
intervene
listeners understand this. What's that?
You don't have to intervene necessarily. It's what made me think that was to say it was actually just how you were saying to make sure that you feel good first, right? And it's like, yeah, we need to do this because when we live kind of as an example of what joy can look like, what a fully assured, confident, wonderful life can feel like, then we give other people permission by example. And that is a fantastic feeling, because you don't have to give advice or intervene or bother someone necessarily. You just you spread joy by permission.
Yes, that's true. I love that. It's a very succinct way of saying it.
Thanks. Now, you, like many people, as you were coming into fame, had the process of becoming an actor or I want to know, do you have any advice for people who are in the process of starting to become an actor, a comedian, an improv performer, or anything of the like, that are in that very common 10-year stretch, right, to make it, and they are maybe finding it difficult to keep that feeling of feeling good or embody joy or have a practice during that process? You know what I mean? Like, what do you wish that you could go back and tell yourself while you were editing that social work paper as your survival job during the day, and writing 5 sketches a week at the Groundlings and waiting for your break?
One thing that I really wish, and it's so obvious, but at the time I just couldn't see it. Don't compare yourself to other people. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, always, rejection is redirection. And I'll give you an example. When I was at the Groundlings, everybody was getting signed by this one agent who was known for comedy. And this guy would not look at me. He would not take me on. But he took on people that I thought were not as funny as me. Very arrogant of me to say, but listen, I know how my stuff does and I know how their stuff does, and they're not I'm not even getting a chance to go out and book things. And I really thought this guy was the only game in town. And I was so insulted and dejected that this fool wouldn't look at me. But later on, he had a nervous breakdown and had been stealing money from his clients. So really, I look at that now and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who wants to take that on?
Yes.
So the way it's going to happen for you is the way it's supposed to happen for you. So don't compare yourself. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And your job is to just keep going and keep refining your own thing. And something that I did that I think was very smart is I kept that side job, so that I wasn't putting pressure on my quote unquote art to bring in the money. Because if I put that pressure on it, I would start to hate it and I would start to resent it. And then everything crumbles. You're just not good at it anymore. When you put that, that neediness on something, and people in the audition room can tell when you are desperate, and you'll never book that way. So I kept my side job until I got the Goldbergs. So
until you got the Goldbergs, really?
Yeah. So all through Reno, all through Love Spring. I mean, there was a time when I had 2 TV shows on the air and I was still doing my side hustle.
I didn't know it was that long. Wow.
Yeah. And, that just made it so that I had a little extra security and I had something else to focus on.
Yeah.
That was not this. So when you have, creative leanings or whatever, there's such an urgency to like make it happen so that everybody in your life can fuck off. Everybody that's been telling you, oh, you're never gonna, this is a shaky business, you can't do it, blah blah blah, and you want to prove those people wrong, but you don't want to hate what you're doing. So get yourself a side hustle that you're good at, because you need to feel like you're good at something.
Yeah, you don't want to dread anything you're doing either.
Exactly. You get that and you bless it and you love it. Even if you don't love it, you're grateful for it.
Yes.
Because it takes the pressure off. So that's what I would say.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's also, it brings up a interesting question of when do we quote unquote make it? I think there's plenty of people, this business, the biz or not, of wondering, when is this done? When is this complete? Whatever this is. And like, I love this, this example of keeping, this editing job, this, straight job on the side while you have 2 TV shows on the air where someone can look, and I'm sure that Reno, you probably got paid less for Reno because it was basic cable than most people realize, right?
Got paid so little and no residuals.
Right. So
it has never been off the air and we don't get residuals.
Still no.
That's what we signed.
Still no residuals for the, yeah, that's insane. Yeah, so I'm just
that was not a living wage, basically.
Still not. Okay, so just so people understand, it's not just because you're on TV doesn't mean you're getting paid. Okay, hence continual strikes. They're just asking for stuff. Anyway, my point is that there's all of these different ideas and definitions of success, and so many people have never even thought of theirs. They just have this vague idea, which is usually based on comparison or a big house or money or a number that means mostly nothing. It's, saying that I want $1 million. It's like, what are you going to spend it on? Don't know. But you had 2 TV shows that would be, to most people, like, oh, I've made it. I'm on TV, right? Yeah. But you were still working these side jobs. And it's just, it's a good brain exercise, I think, for a lot of us to say, what is making it to you? If you had to work at this side hustle of, let's say, even 5 hours a week, even that, like, I'm not saying that's what it was, but whatever. Yeah. But you get to be on a 10-season series sitcom. Would that be enough for you? Like, you know what I mean? Not you, but just this thought exercise. What would, if there's a slight caveat, a slight deviation in your plan, does that mean that you didn't make it? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting
No, it is an interesting question, and it's one that I've asked myself many times over the years because I still don't feel that I have made it per se, but I have.
You have.
I so have. Like
What
I
makes
keep
you
working, and that's what technically making it is.
what does
You know,
that voice come up? Like, where do you get that voice that's like, no, you haven't,
again, it's comparison.
just to other
It's
people?
comparison. When I see other people and I'm like, wait a minute. That
Who do you
person,
feel like who does your brain allow you to compare yourself to? Is it people that you started at the same time with, people in the state? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because you probably aren't comparing yourself to Ben Affleck, right? Because he's a
no,
guy and he's
no.
in like you know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
who are you allowing yourself to compare yourself to? You don't have to give me a name, but like,
Yeah. People I've worked with in the past,
okay,
you know, and found it, ponderous at that time. Like, how did you get where you got? You're obnoxious. You're lazy.
mm-hmm.
How did you get here? I don't understand.
Yeah,
Again, it's a different path for everybody.
right.
And you
But it's interesting that
don't
your
even
brain is
question it.
like,
You're going to drive yourself crazy.
we're not going to allow ourselves to compare myself to Ben Affleck, but it is okay to compare myself to this person.
To this person. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going all over the place. My mind
Please. We're
is
weirdos with
all over the
tangents. That's how we do it.
Yeah, I personally never want to retire.
I
So
don't
I
either.
guess I could say that once I've made it, it means I don't want to do it anymore. It means it's completed.
Well, that seems antithetical, doesn't it?
Um, I guess because it means if once I've reached the top of the mountain, I'm not going to keep climbing.
Well, if you
So
don't want to do
I
it, that
guess
means
I
the
will always
desires.
consider myself climbing. I don't know.
Well, to me, it feels like if you don't want to stop working, that means that it's because you love this so much and you want to
Right.
keep doing it, and the desire is always there. So that means that like something would need to physically or mentally break for you to
Mm-hmm.
be able to stop. But
Yeah.
if you reach the top of the mountain, it's actually not that the mountain, there is no end of the mountain. The end of the mountain is your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then I guess I don't know how to describe this. Um, maybe the answer is disregarding the term "I've made it."
Yeah, I think maybe
And
that is what it
just
is.
say, do you want to keep doing it? If you're happy doing it, then you're making it,
Yeah.
regardless of what your bank account says. If you're happy and you want to keep doing something, you've made it.
Shit. Yeah.
But success and financial success are
Right.
two different things.
That's very true.
You know.
You always need to make sure that you can have food on the table.
Right.
That's very important.
And the whole thing about, well, now I can afford to go into debt buying this house or whatever, which I see a lot of actors doing of like, whoo, I got a series. Hello, I'm making, $75,000 an episode. So now I'm going to go spend X amount on a house. Well, let's break that down, shall we? Let's say you got picked up for 10 episodes of something, $75,000 a pop. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good, right? Until you have to pay out your agent, your manager, and pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and
so
you're
cut that
only
in half.
assured at least one season.
Yeah, so cut that in half. That's how much you get to keep.
Yeah.
So you should only make plans based on what you get to keep, not how much you think is coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my financial sermon for the day.
Well, I think we did really good for embody.
Yeah. Thank you.
What about creating? So in terms of creating joy, I feel like you create in many different ways. Acting, improv, sketch comedy, dancing, human and animal rights, charities, women's empowerment, romance, positive attitudes. There's a bunch of things that you do. When you think of creativity, is there a hierarchy you think about in regards to yourself? Like, do you think of yourself as an actor, a comedian, or a cat lover first, or something I'm not mentioning?
I guess I think of myself as an entertainer
overall?
first. Yeah, overall.
Okay.
And so what that means is that it's not just going to be when I go to work, it's going to be when I have people over
Mhm.
or when I go to someone else's house, I'll be a good guest or, even entertaining myself. So like there's nothing in my house that doesn't make me smile.
Mm.
We decorate like two 12-year-olds that were given unlimited money to, decorate their treehouse. Okay, you won't see my house in any magazines, but it makes us very happy.
There is one reason for you to come to Baltimore. Then you have to come to this store that's created like specifically. It's like the best uh, gift shop, but it's created. It's called Sideshow, and it is just exactly what you're describing. It's like chattering teeth and art made by people who are never taught how to make art, but they just are visionary artists. And I mean, like, there's just walls and walls and walls and cubbies and cubbies and cubbies and cubbies of just like little tiny weird art. It's this guy. He's had a documentary made about him. He's called it's amazing. So yes.
Oh,
Oh my god!
will
It's my,
you
I
send
want
me
to.
the link to that?
Yeah. You can't get anything online, but like I want to have my ashes put there. Like I'm serious.
Oh,
It's amazing. You have to come. Yeah, I'll send you
oh,
the.
that sounds so luscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would decorate your whole house with stuff from there. Like seriously, it's so good. I'm like getting excited thinking about it. Um,
Yeah, but that, you know,
yeah, entertaining and being.
entertaining- yeah. And that's, I guess, if I am a merriment maker at all,
You
I
are.
try to be at least entertaining or at the very least not unpleasant.
Yeah.
So,
You're fun. You're fun.
so
Whatever room you're in.
yeah,
Yeah.
I try.
When I look at the ways you create, I think of the effects of them, and I feel like they could be divided into pretty simple categories, which are like laughter and love.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could do entertainment and justice. But I think laughter and love
Interesting.
it's more alliterative, but entertainment and justice was what I came up with as well. So
Ah,
either way, it's incredibly Libra of you.
thank you. Thank you.
This just in. Good news. Good news alert. Good news. There's a bridge in Longview, Massachusetts, specifically designed for squirrels to cross the road called Nutty Narrows Bridge. You can recycle your old toys now and get them turned into books. Charles Kenny at the Center of Global Development says he thinks global poverty can end by 2050. A thrift store employee found $5,000 in a shirt and he returned it to the owner. 2,000 white rhinos put up for auction will be released as part of the world's biggest rewilding project. An innovative surgery helped a woman speak after 10 years. A group in Philadelphia raised $17,000 and teamed up with RIP Medical Debt so they could purchase $1.6 million in debt owned by Philadelphia residents and give it back to them.
Wow.
A dog kept sneaking out of his shelter into a nursing home, so now he lives there. Rob Hopkins, an imaginative activist, traveled into the future and he says, everything turns out great. Sorry, that keeps happening.
That was magnificent.
I don't know who that girl is, but she keeps
I'm in
coming
such a
in
good
here.
mood now. These are great.
Anyway,
Great stories.
so I so much of life is shared online now, and arguably more in the public. You're probably more in the public eye than the majority of the population. Is there any types of creativity that you feel like you want to keep to yourself? Like, do you play the keyboard in your living room and don't share it to anybody? You just do it for the feeling of it?
Um,
Serial killer on the
Yeah.
side,
that's interesting because I've been asked to write a book and I've wiggled out of it a couple times now.
That's rude because I'd like to read
At
it.
great expense too. But like I don't need everybody to know everything about me. Like, I don't know.
Can
And
you do
I
it and then
can't.
publish it after you die? Like have like some sort of thing? Because I'd like to read it.
I guess I just
You just
don't
don't want to. You just don't want people
think
to
I'm
know.
interesting enough yet to fill a whole book.
Oh,
I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot I don't share. I can't put my finger on, one certain area that I
sure.
absolutely will not share, but I just feel like, it's better to when when it comes to the general public, I would just like them to look at my projects
Enjoy
and
them.
not be bogged down with the rest of my personal life. Like just look at a project for what it is and forget you're watching me.
Yeah. That
And I
used to
feel
be
like
the
if I
way that
tell too much
Hollywood,
about myself, it becomes hard to do that.
that used to be how stuff was. Like it was
Mhm.
just, there was an actor, and then there was the movie, and then you would have to wait until the next movie to see them. Like now
Right.
it's like, where is the Ask Me Anything on Reddit? I
Yeah.
want to know what soap you use. And to
Yeah.
be fair, I do want to know what soap you use, but I, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just,
Well, I'll tell you,
well,
but
I'm actually in your bathroom right now. That's where I am.
oh, I knew it.
I knew it. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
but
funny.
it is a weird, it should be your choice. That's the thing.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be, if someone wants to be more involved in the public, then they should be able to do it. I
Right.
mostly meant, it wasn't more about the public. I think I just meant like, do you find a way to creatively express yourself? Because regardless of celebrity, some people will just paint and they don't share it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some
Yeah.
people just like to do something in like the quote unquote purest expression of it and then not feel the need to,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You're.
Not really.
I'll need to take a minute for that.
That's fine. No
'Cause,
worries.
yeah.
So I read that when you were coming back to Reno the first time for the Quibi series, you were like a little nervous because Reno is so improv based and you hadn't done that in a bit. Can you talk about how that felt to kind of work that muscle for the first time after a while? Because I'm sure there's people who are scared to pick up a skill after
Mhm.
years or more, improv or not, and they might say no to an opportunity because of that fear. But it turns out they're going to be better than ever because I could not tell that you were uh, scared or
Yeah.
out of practice.
Well, it wasn't so much that I was afraid of the improv. It was that I hadn't played that character
Mm.
in so long. And I didn't know if I could pick back up with her.
Oh,
Because yes, every word of that is improvised. There is no script. There never has been for that. And so we're all responsible for
your own.
our characters.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, yeah, so the improv didn't scare me. It was putting that uniform on and being her again because
Yeah.
it had been so long.
That's a lot of responsibility, like to
Yeah,
bring the whole essence back to a person who's been on like in like a hibernation for so long.
right. And yet living on the internet for a long time.
Sure.
And
And it's not
you
like
know,
yeah, it's like I remember when Ace Ventura, the second one came out, and I was like, it's just a little wrong. Like it's just a
yeah,
little wrong.
yeah. Because you try to, correct and make things better, but it's like, no, no, no. That succeeded
Mm.
this way. So it needs to stay that way. And I didn't know if I could do that. And also, like, they killed my character off in the series.
Yeah, they sure did.
So now
We're just
we're
alive
coming
again.
back with no explanation. It's fine. They did it with Roseanne. They've done it on other things. But like, yeah, it was very daunting. I was happy to do it, but and also it was filming the same time as the Goldbergs, and
Oh yeah,
the
going back and
Goldbergs
forth.
really took the stuffing out of me. Like I worked very hard on that. So to switch gears from going, to this severe 80s mother to this slutty, terrible cop, I wasn't sure if I could do it. And also, did I look the same? a lot of years had passed. And that made me nervous of like, oh, great. Do I get to read online how terrible I look and blah, blah, blah. But it turned out not to be any of those things. And it was fine. And we went on to do 2 whole movies and a couple of seasons.
All of which have been, my God, so good. I mean, with anything that you love, as an audience, there's always like a fear that it's going to be, weird or wrong or, something.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much I enjoyed every minute of every reincarnation of Reno, both series, the movie. I can't, I had laughed so hard in so long, and all of you, but I just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful comedy.
Thank you.
Just truly, I'm obsessed with you guys, and I always have been. So another way I love how you create is with your positive attitude. I think positive attitude is like a way to manifest. And I once heard you say that you only want things that want you back.
Right.
And I just wanted to know, like, can you tell me or explain how you feel like that works? Or maybe even an example of how it works because you've seen the opposite feature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oof. Yeah. And of course that I didn't embrace that fact until my 50s. But you should never spend any time at all chasing anything. It's not going to come to you faster. It just makes you feel like you're being proactive. And when I say don't chase, I'm not saying be a completely passive, partner in whatever it is that you want. Of course, you have to take the steps necessary and put in the work. But that doesn't mean you have to, hey, put in a good word for me here. Hey, how's this going? How's this going? Like, don't stress about it. Don't make everybody else around you crazy because you want something. Do the work. Do the work. And it will come to you. The right opportunities will show up. You cannot force it.
Yeah.
And the times that I have forced things, I've regretted it.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like trying to take a shortcut. It's just another version of that.
Yeah. Just like you can't make somebody love you. You can try. And it might feel like you succeeded for a little bit, but you didn't.
And at the end, you're going to, if you have a conscience, even if you have like a magic spell, you'll end up wondering, like, is this real? Do they even love me? You know what I mean? It's just, there's always some sort of paradox there.
Right. And also, do you love them really? Because there's probably somebody out there that's way better for you. And do you want to be with someone else's person? And they're with someone else's person because you should be with somebody else? No.
Oh, I've never thought about it like that. You're stealing somebody else's soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
Spreading joy.
Yes.
I believe comedy at its core is a mixture of truth and surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you embody both of those elements beautifully. Do you feel like either of those ways, like being very truthful, being honest, I guess, and also, I guess, surprising is maybe an element of your entertainment aspect throughout the thread of your life? Do you feel like those are really important or present aspects in ways that you spread joy to other people?
Well, you're making me think about things in ways I've never thought about them. Like I don't think about spreading joy, but I guess I've done that. I guess sometimes.
Okay, so let's take it back. What do you think about spreading joy? What do you think about when you think about spreading joy? What comes to your mind at all?
Making people feel like they are better because they spent time with you.
Okay, like leaving a room better than you found it, leaving energy
better
than you found it.
Exactly. Raising the vibe of whoever you're with in a positive way. But to your point about comedy being truth and surprise, that is something that cannot be overstated. Is comedy is telling the truth.
Yes.
And playing the truth. It is not about punchlines.
No. Well, it can be, but that's part of it.
It can be. It, a punchline is, the cherry on top. But when you think about, just say, sitting around with your family, no one's trying to be funny at Thanksgiving.
Mm-mm.
They just are.
Right.
Because of the weird little quirks they have and their little opinions about things. And I'm sorry, but sometimes family gatherings are so unintentionally funny. I'm barely not pissing myself because, of the hilarious conversations that are not trying to be funny. It's just the absolute truth of how these people are.
That's why someone falling down is funny. It's real and it's taking you by surprise. It just is. That's why when you stand-up comedians, most of the time, it's not just jokes in a row. Like you said, it's not punchlines. If you think about real stand-ups that you really enjoy, most of the time they are doing observations and storytelling. Storytelling is the truth.
Yes.
And they're telling it in a way that they've made it interesting to hear, but they're gathering truths that are like, you're being like, oh my God, this is funny. And I didn't expect, surprise, to hear that in this moment. But I agree with you. I agree with this truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And when you look back at like older stand-ups, like Phyllis Diller, say, who I always thought she was so fabulous because she would make fun of herself and she would wear these outlandish outfits or whatever. And she had a way of telling a story that just made you laugh. But when you think about what she's saying, it's not that funny because she's just telling jokes.
Yeah.
But if she had just told an authentic story about, I went to the grocery store, it probably would have been 1,000 times more funny. And I'm not trying to disparage her, but but comedy has changed, or stand up anyway, from the constant joke telling to the storytelling. Storytelling is so big right now.
And it's because we're all craving honesty and detail.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons that I love Reno and It's Always Sunny so much, because I think both of these shows find a way to comment on the state of the world in a way that is like telling the truth in such a funny way while making fun of it. It's they're finding that beautiful line of being like, no, this like when you guys do the commercials in Reno. I think that's one of the easiest, beautiful, simple ways to to be like, no, this is what's happening, and this looks so real. It's a
right. Yeah, bad local commercials are the best. I love them.
Yeah. Oh man. So, God, where were we? We were just talking about truth and surprise and comedy, and then spreading joy. So when you feel like you're raising the vibe of a room, do you have any like go-to tools or techniques, or like, are you conscious of the fact that you're doing that? Do you feel like it's just your personality that's doing that? Or are you like, oh, I noticed that person is down, I'm going to try to do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've done that. Like when you can tell someone is a little off, you try to sort of play to them and make things, or just include them and give them, feel like, how do I want to say it? Include them and make them feel like it's okay for them to vent a little bit if that's what they need to do, or, just to shake whatever it is off. And that is, that's an important thing that we can all give to each other sometimes. Just be conscious of, it's called reading the room, and maybe spreading joy, maybe you're not going to go in and just lift this person's mood, but what you can do is acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, been there.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't need to pretend to be happy. You don't need to, pretend that everything's fine. I see you. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
And that's what people mean when they say hold space for somebody.
Yes. And it took me a long time to figure out what that meant. And because it was like, hold space. What is this woo-woo term?
I know.
But yeah, that is exactly what it means.
I just figured that would be because you just described it so well. I figured that if anybody listened to that and didn't know what that term meant, I was like, I'm going to put it in the dictionary. Wendi just nailed it. So you mentioned earlier that Greg was the only person that supported your decision to be on Reno. And I've heard before that your parents and grandparents didn't really originally support your decision to be an actress, or at least not on Reno. Like they even wrote you a letter, even though they live in the same kind of town as you are, letting you know how disappointed they were in you. Is this all true? Okay. So I ask this because I want to speak to the importance in terms of spreading joy of how you knew you wanted to do something. And even without the permission or support of your family, you continued forward. And that is not for the faint of heart. No, a lot of people would have been like, okay, well, that sucks. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I know that someone you've never met in person, telling you that they're proud of you doesn't mean that much, but I want to let you know that I am proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy that the universe put us together.
Me too.
But yeah, that was, I adore my parents, although they are cuckoo, and I was raised in a very religious house, and I've always been a little codependent on them, and really I cared too much about what they thought for way too long. And I mean, even now, my parents live 3 miles away. I've never left this neighborhood, which is weird. That is weird. Okay.
Well, it would be weirder if you weren't in California, I think. If you
Yeah, that's true.
You're like commuting.
Yeah. But so to have, I mean, that's why I didn't get started sooner than I did, because I was so afraid of what they were going to say to me. And I know there's people, some of your listeners, that feel like this as well. Like, oh, I can't go against what my family says. But you can.
You can.
Because you're not doing anything wrong. And the only reason they're saying this to you is because you want to operate outside of their comfort zone.
Yep.
And they don't know what to do with that. And they don't know how to help you. So a lot of times, especially parents of my generation, the only thing they know how to do is yell at you. Because that means love. Like if they're going to take the time to scream at you, it means they love you very much. It really did a number on me. But the thing is that what I want is not bad.
No.
And I've never wanted anything else. I knew from a toddler that I wanted to entertain.
Yeah.
And they knew it too. And my mom even encouraged it back then and gave us like a trunk full of costumes and all this stuff. But it was like, oh, you graduated high school, time to get serious and not do any of this anymore. So yeah, the fact that my parents and grandparents basically equated acting with prostitution.
Right.
That was very hard. And it was very empowering and yet heartbreaking at the same time to get those letters from my mom and my grandpa and turn around and say, you don't get to talk to me like that anymore. I'm an adult. I ask you for nothing. I'm not doing anything wrong. And if your friends want to tell you that I am doing something wrong. If for some reason you're being judged and that's where this is coming from, those people are not your friends. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you choose to listen, that's on you. But I'm not quitting. And you can stay away for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And that was painful.
Yeah. Very painful.
But there is a time when you have to say enough. You can't point to anything I'm doing wrong. And by the way, I'm playing a character. I think most people understand how the TV works. And yet maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm surprised at how many.
But it shouldn't matter either way.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter either. I'm not doing a thing wrong and I'm not going to stop. So there we are. And sometimes you have to draw your line in the sand and it hurts and it's uncomfortable, but damn,
Yeah.
it is necessary. And then it feels good after a while. Like you just broke something. You just broke a generational curse.
Yeah.
I don't live my life for you. You raised me. I hope you raised me to go out and do things in the world.
Yes.
You know, if you think I'm doing something wrong, you can look in the mirror.
There you go. Well,
You know?
congratulations. That's incredible. If you had let their disapproval change the trajectory of your life, we wouldn't have had Clemi or any of the wonderful characters you've brought to the screen. And I am only one of millions of people grateful for that I get to speak on behalf of today, saying thank you for doing the difficult and brave thing that hurt so that you could spread love and laughter and entertainment and justice. And if anyone, doesn't know, I mean, I didn't do like an official introduction with you. I don't really do that, but you've been on Reno 911, Bridesmaids, The Goldbergs, Elemental, Modern Family, Blended, The History of the World Part 2, Goosebumps 2, St. Denis Medical just got picked up, Kath and Kim, The Office. Like, you have 100 credits on IMDb. Like, we're talking about make it, like, whether or not we are discarding or releasing this term, I believe you fucking have. And I love you. I'm so proud of you. And your values, to you and everyone listening, are not wrong. They are in contradiction to your parents. They're just different. Go for it.
Thank you very much for saying that. That means the world to me.
So I asked you to bring a physical item that makes you happy or you use to make other people happy. Can you get that and tell me about it?
Okay. So this is something that I just bought, but it's The Adventures of Pippi Longstocking.
I love Pippi Longstocking.
I don't know where my original Pippi books are. They became so worn out. They might have just disintegrated. But when I was a little girl, I would be in my room laughing my head off at Pippi. Yes. And I still feel like her.
Yes.
Right now. Like and by the way, keep your princesses. Keep your Disney princesses, whatever.
This chick was brave.
Pippi is the shit. Okay.
She is like a little misfit, mischievous maven. Oh, I love her. I don't know why the first thing I think of is like when she puts on the thing to clean the kitchen, she puts on like these soap shoes.
Yes.
To make it fun. She's like making the mundane fun.
Oh. Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know who Pippi is, okay, this is like a Swedish.
Get your house in order, first of all.
Please get yourself to the bookstore and get into this, because Pippi.
There's also movies too, if you need a visual.
Yeah,
there's some good movies.
The Swedish movies with the bad overdubbing, it's great.
Yes,
but Pippi, her mom died, and her dad was lost at sea. He was a sailor and was lost at sea. So Pippi,
story time.
Yeah, the other sailors on the boat, they dock the boat. They give Pippi a big chest of gold coins to go live her life. And so she's got the greatest setup. She has no parents, unlimited funds, a monkey, a pet monkey named Mr. Nilsson, a house, her own house,
Mhm.
a horse that lives on the porch, and she's got superhuman strength.
Yeah, she can like fly basically.
Yeah, she can lift cars up over her head. It's like the greatest situation. So Pippi is not laying around waiting for someone to save her.
No, she
She
doesn't
has
need
adventures
or want
every
for
day.
anything. She's got unlimited funds. She can beat off a bad guy. She's not scared.
Yeah,
She's fully capable of everything in every way. They set her up for complete success and autonomy.
exactly. And so, well, what are we supposed to do this? I don't know. Let's go find out. Like she follows her curiosity every day.
Yep.
She's got some little friends who, who do have parents and have a bedtime and all of this. But
Have a bedtime and all of this.
yeah, they've got rules and things. But Pippi's just there. She wears her dad's shoes or something like that. They're like twice the size of her feet. She's always dressed, but nothing like she's not glamorous.
She's like a mismatch. She always has these like tights on.
Yeah.
And of course the pigtails that are like go all the way out to the side.
Oh, I mean, she's just glorious. So I've had Pippi on the brain recently, so I bought this.
Sounds like a disorder. I had Pippi on the brain.
Pippi on the brain, and it's so it's
God,
so great. It's like, how can we embody Pippi in our lives?
Oh
well, you
man,
can follow your curiosity.
I love this. This is a good reminder. Pippi is the shit, and this is an amazing homework assignment for everyone to go like read and or watch Pippi and then become your version of Pippi.
Yeah. And I mean, even people out there with daughters or anyone that, their kids are presenting as daughters. I don't know. I want to include everybody. But Pippi takes no prisoners. Like the way she lives is how we could all be living.
Absolutely.
No one can, if someone can't tell you why you shouldn't do something, you might as well try it.
I was like her when I was a kid. I just would ask why about everything. I didn't understand authority ever. I was always just like, I need a real reason as to why I can't do this. And if you couldn't give me one, I was just like,
you're full of shit.
It wasn't about necessarily breaking rules, but if you couldn't give me a real answer, because most of the time when you would ask adults, they would just be like, because this is why.
Yeah.
And I didn't accept that. So I would just call bullshit on everything. And my parents were just like, you're too smart for this. I don't understand. And it's like, well, then get a better reason.
Yeah, that's not a reason. I was that way too. Like, and my mom said, why are you so combative all the time?
Not
what are you going to be, a lawyer or something? You're always asking why? And I'm like, well, I don't see why this is an annoying question. You just said no to me. Give me your reasons.
Yeah, exactly. My mom said when I was 3 years old, she told me that I wasn't allowed to say something. I don't know what it was. She tells the story all the time, but she doesn't remember what the thing was that I couldn't say. And she was like, you can't say that. Go to your room. I must have repeated, I don't know, the cuss word or something.
Yeah, a cuss word that she probably said.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
That part gets left out of this amazing story. So I'm 3. I don't remember this. And I was talking in full sentences by the time I was 1 year old.
Wow.
And which I think is very early to do that.
Yeah.
So by the time I'm 3, I'm just a chatterbox. So I'm sent to my room, and I stand at the door, and I hold my hand on my hip, and I have the door in my hand, and I'm like happy to be sent to my room. Like, fuck you, that's fine. And she's like, go to your room. You can't say that anymore. And I said, you can tell me I can't say it, but you can't tell me I can't think it. And then I slammed the door. And she called her best friend. She was like, we have a problem. Like,
oh my God. If a kid ever said that in front of me, I would never stop laughing.
Yeah, it's hilarious and also frightening because, like, what are you dealing with? I'm smarter than you.
Ooh. That is, respect.
It's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I'm so glad you brought up Pippi Longstocking. That's such an empowering character. Okay, do you have any stories or thoughts about how you feel like your ability to spread joy has been effective or actualized at this stage in your life, considering how you create joy? You know, we talked about how you spread joy through entertainment and justice, or love and laughter. So, how do you feel like you've kind of really maximized your effectiveness, potential actualization so far?
Hmm. I love this question and I want to give you a good answer. I would just say that it's situational and it really depends 100% on being able to read the room. Because there's sometimes when you need to come forward and there's sometimes when you should retreat. And if
I think you're also thinking very much in interpersonal one-on-one or dynamic interactions, and that's great. I also immediately, because of your passions, am thinking about how amazing the opportunities are of your career, you know, like your ability to, like, how many people you have made laugh in your life, the effectiveness and the actualization and the potential of your entertainment. I mean, you probably made someone laugh maybe the hardest in person, right? Because of that chemical connection, right? You know, that's probably maybe true. But when you sit and think about how many times something has been viewed on Hulu or whatever, like whatever fucking streaming service or just YouTube, that someone has made compilations of the best moments of Clemi, that people worship you as an actress, as an entertainer in various iterations of your work, of your career. I think my opinion is that your entertainment and ability to make people laugh has been extremely effective at this stage in your life.
I have never thought about that.
I think you should.
I have legitimately never thought. So I don't know. I guess I don't know how to answer this question. But thank you for the kind words.
That's we can.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add to that. That
That's
you've
okay.
given me a lot to think about.
Well, I just want you to think, you know, we don't have to, you know, I think engaging in Googling ourselves and stuff like that can be very destructive.
Oh, emotional cutting.
Absolutely.
That's yeah. I've had to stop doing that.
And that's
I do
probably
not
very
look for
good.
myself.
But I will say
Do
that
not
most
look.
of the time that people are looking for something on YouTube or viewing something on a streaming service, I would say 98% of the time it is out of enjoyment, not trolling.
Mm-hmm.
And every view that you have for one of those is because you've made someone laugh or smile at the very least. And at this point, the syndication of all the shows that you've created for the past 20 years, I mean, even if we just look at a movie, right? I mean, a lot of people probably know you from Bridesmaids, if nothing else, because that's very popular on its own.
Mm-hmm.
How many people you have made laugh with just one fucking scene? That's powerful, Wendi.
Oh my God. I have literally never thought of that.
Well,
That
you
has
should. You
never
should write it
occurred to
on your
me.
fucking mirror and say it as an affirmation to yourself every day. You've made probably 1 billion people laugh. Probably an eighth
Damn.
of, at least. I don't know how to, I'm not here on this earth to do math, but that
Right.
seems like a lot
Okay. Yeah. I guess that is a lot. I guess it is.
It's a
Wow.
lot. You've affected a lot.
Okay.
And if that's all I can do for you today, then I'm very glad.
I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you.
So what is the next phase? That's how you're a merriment maker, sweetheart. That's how you're a merriment maker. You're talking about one-on-one interactions and lighting up a room, and you're so right. You are so right that you do that. But you do that for other. You talk about falling asleep, right, with the TV on, with your Seinfeld and your Golden Girls. You know that Reno is ours, right? You understand that we do that with you. That you're in our bedroom. That we can't fall asleep without your voice.
Oh my God. I know. Okay. Oh wow. I want to curl up in a ball.
Don't do that.
Wow.
Expand. Get bigger, sweetheart. Get bigger.
Okay.
Breathe and gyrate your hips because you are a star, literally.
Whoa. Okay, then.
You
I'll
and
do
your
it.
people, your group, your talent, your truth, your surprise, your joy has saved people. You have saved people. There were times in my 20s where I had nothing else happening except for the TV. I was so depressed that I would just watch Sunny and Friends and Reno. So there were nights that I wanted to die, and that's just how I kept going, was just having something on in the background. So there are people that have favorite shows, and like you said, you just want to have something on in the background because you don't want to hear your own thoughts, and just know that you're there for people. And your comedy has saved people's lives. I can guarantee you that.
Oh. Wow. Okay. Well, you've blown me away with that, but thank you. And I'm overwhelmed.
So our podcast kind of got cut off because of the internet connection, but we can't leave without playing Unquestionary. So this is a fast game show where I ask you questions and you just think fast on your feet. So do you prefer Halloween or Christmas?
Halloween.
If you opened up a new charity, what would it be for?
If I opened up a what?
A new charity.
Oh, a new charity. It would be for it would be pairing foster kids with animals.
I love that.
Yeah.
Whoopee cushions or candy cigarettes?
Candy cigarettes.
Ooh. If you had to move to another state, what would it be?
Well, it's interesting because we did buy a place in another state recently, and that's Louisiana. We got a place in the French Quarter.
Oh, that place is really fun. Spooky and great food.
Yeah.
Would you rather shit in the sink or in the middle of the street?
In the sink.
In the sink? Okay. What animal would make the best barber cutting hair?
An octopus, because they have 8 arms.
Yes.
So they can get all the way around and be very expedient.
What if they're really, but on the other side of that, I mean, if they're really incompetent, they could do 8 times the worse work.
That's true. That's true.
Are ducks hot right now? Yes or no?
Are ducks hot?
Yeah.
Ducks?
Ducks?
Well, I got a swimming pool full of them right now, and I'm not joking.
Good. I love ducks. Ducks are my favorite.
Well, I like them too. I just don't like it. I wish they'd shit in the flower bed and not right where I want to go.
Ducks are hot unless they're shitting in your pool.
They are adorable.
They are definitely adorable. What's something that you think about once a day? What's your Roman Empire or whatever?
My Roman Empire. I have a very terrible habit, and I wish I could fix this, of thinking about me in junior high or high school and
Yeah.
thinking about how I would have screwed something up. That's not helpful. Why am I thinking about that?
Oh, you're thinking about how you could have made it, like how you already did it, like back then?
Or any situation, I think of, well, what would my younger self have done? And it's always the wrong thing. And why do I think about I wasn't a total
Interesting.
disaster
No.
growing up,
I
but
think about junior high and high school, but I think of like what I know now and like how I would have like
I also
gone
think
so
about
much
that.
better.
But
Yeah.
it's like, why is my mind taking me there? I've got
Why
so
are
much
we
to think
wasting time
about
thinking
here on
about
this
that? Yeah, I
plane.
don't know. Such
Yeah.
formative years. Okay, if I give you a line from Reno as Clemi, would you do a Clemi voice for me?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. He passed me a note and it said, "I think you're hot." And I passed him a note and I said, "I don't need you to tell me that."
He passed me a note and he said, "I think you're hot." And I passed him a note and I said, "I don't need you to tell me that. I know I'm hot. Obviously, you've got good eyesight. What else? What are we going to do about this?"
I love it. Now, because of strikes, I've seen how people have been promoting actors, writers, and other people in the union who are like promoting other people's work. And even now, with the strikes ending, I still think it's a really lovely thing to continue promoting other people's work on behalf of them. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great to encourage everybody to like check out other people's work on behalf of them anyway, but I want to
Right.
do that on behalf of you anyway. So Elemental is a Disney and Pixar movie about an anthropomorphic element, the elements of nature. And that
Right.
came out this year, and you play the voice of a purple cloud named Gale.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful Florida was a 20-minute short about an ice cream contest, and you play someone named Mel.
Uh-huh.
Big City Greens was an offbeat animated series about a mischievous and optimistic country boy, and that's still coming out. And he moves to the city, and you play his mom, Nancy. And then you've got a bunch of other things coming out this year that haven't even like hit the screens. And there's Sick Girl, so that's like a female comedy, and
Uh-huh.
that's like women who are like feeling like their friends have grown apart, and you play Carol. And
Mm-hmm.
then we mentioned earlier in the podcast, St. Denis Medical just got picked up. And that's a TV series with like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like Scrubs, but like very disgruntled Scrubs, like trying to maintain their sanity.
Yeah.
Understaffed, underfunded hospital workers.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
there's Bad Romance, which is something that I am the most excited for, the Vicky White story, where you play Vicky White, who was, it's a true story, a respected police officer who then helps an inmate escape and then goes on the run and becomes a fugitive. And I'm not going to ruin the ending, but the truth is the ending. So if anybody
Yeah.
wants to look into that, I mean, the pictures of you doing that role, it reminds me of when Charlize Theron did Monster. Like, it's like, you know, the transformation is so good. I love it so much, and I'm very excited to see all of these.
Thank you. And as a producer on that Vicky White thing,
You were too?
yeah.
That's fantastic. So you really had all of your heart in that.
Oh God, yes. And it's funny because Sick Girl and Vicky White come out within, like, one's on the 20th, one's on the 21st.
So you're going
And
to
I
be very
probably
busy
already
that
said
week.
too much. All I can say is I worked my freaking ass off.
Yeah.
And I really hope it resonates with people. So
I'm sure that it will. Both of them for
yeah.
very different reasons to very different audiences, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but there's obviously going to be some overlap because I want to see both. Well,
if you see both, I really hope you like them. I really do.
I mean, maybe I'm biased because I want to see you anyway, but so I just want to thank you so much. This has been really my most exciting interview that I've ever hosted my whole life so far. And I really, really adore you. And I hope that that's come through.
You're so sweet. And thank you for even reaching out to me. You know,
Of
you are
course.
just
I mean,
an
thank you for
absolute
responding.
angel.
I hope that you feel like you are a merriment maker and that you reach people and that has come through.
Well, thank you, sweetheart.
I ask everybody to repeat at the end of the episode, you have to feel good to do good.
So you want me to just say that
I want
No?
you to say
Okay.
it.
You have to feel good to do good.
And remember that. I love you,
Remember
Wendi.
it.
Thank you so much for coming back and
Of course.
coming here in the first place and for spreading your joy with the world.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
See what I mean? She's the best. And if you made it here till the end, you might like her and me. So be sure to go check her out on Instagram, Wendi McLendon-Covey. And also, like I said, on TV, you can find her everywhere. And if you like me, then you can find me at Merriment Maker or on uncustomary.org, and I can send you texts and mail and decks and books, and you can become a part of the membership group, the Merriment Makers, and learn study courses and so many different things. I have so many ways to titillate you with fun and good news and joy. So I love you. I will see you next time for our next, hopefully, just as fun guest, but how are we going to outdo this? We'll see. Remember, you have to feel good to do good. I love you.